I was born March 31st, 1933. My wife and I met at a party in San Bernardino at Chris Torsavilla's house. What was her maiden name?
Rubio.
Rubio. And I was at a party. And I came down with friends of mine by the name of Matt Philippi and Al Scandura, and we went to the party because we were in Catholic clubs. My wife had just gotten out of the service. She was in Air Force, and she was an RN, first lieutenant in the Air Force. And I came out as a PFC, so I had to salute her, when I first met her. And basically, we had a dance at Chris Rubio's house, and I mentioned to her about what her age was, and she said, "Are you near 27 or that?" And she said, "Mm-hmm." She was 29 years old, and so again, that was our first meeting. She was just out of the Air Force, and her brother had passed away. We had a little talk when we were dancing, and then consequently, we met at another dance. However, I had a lady friend that I had invited to the dance, but she was late, and so I got teed off, and so I started dancing with her and meeting her. Well, the lady did come in later on, but I kind of ignored her. So we started going out with each other.
Making a big hit.
Yeah.
That's the funny part.
So we started going out with each other, and this is probably around 1958. We've been married 47 years. We were married 4th of June, 1960, and one of the things that have held us together is our religion. We're Catholics, and in fact, when I asked her to marry me, we went into a vacant church, and I asked her to marry me in church. So she said yes. We dated about a year and a half. A year and a half. We met in the Catholic clubs, because when she got out of the service, she started working as an RN over in San Bernardino County Hospital. Well, that was 4th of June, 1960. In fact, we have wedding pictures, and I was kind of a drinker, so I gave all my wedding party, the guys, hip flasks as a wedding present. And consequently, I drank for years, but I quit in 1973. I quit drinking. I had problems with it. It's one of the things I regret. I noticed what you asked, is getting into drinking. But of course, at that time, everything was legal. It wasn't considered a drug, and I was kind of addicted to drinking. But I quit a long time ago, when I was 40 years old. So probably her religion, and she was kind of, I was attracted to her, but her religion and her nice ways about her. And we had our problems through the years. Probably I caused most of them. But then I went ahead and, quit drinking. And her personality, and she's always been a good wife, trying to keep me alive. So you have to take care of yourself in life. My father died at 93, my mother at 97. They always played golf and kept care of themselves, and they walked. My father used to always say that if I had known that I would live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. So he was born in 1902, and the 2nd of July, and my mother was born March 3rd of 1906, and they lived in Leisure World. They lived in Alta Laguna for years. They lived in Desert Hot Springs. He was in the real estate business, so that's been my whole life, the real estate business. When I there was a mandatory draft law when I was, because it was during right by the Korean War, and I graduated. I had a grade deferment through college, and so I went to work at Kaiser Steel after I left college for about 3 months, and I was in the accounting department. We used to keep track of the limite and all the different shipments that came into Kaiser Steel to make the steel. And as soon as I was there, about 3 months, I had seniority. I wrote the Army to draft me, which they did. And I could have my old job back if I wanted, but I did not feel good in Kaiser Steel because of the cement dust blowing over the plant and all that stuff. And so I never got my job back. Instead, I was drafted. I went in the Army. There was a big party that was given to me, for me, by my friends. There was about 75 people. We went up to Mount Baldy and had a good time. And then I took my basic training at Fort Ord, and they stationed me in not in Puerto Rico, but they stationed me in Fort Buchanan, Fort MacArthur, where I was in Nike Battalion, so I could come home and still enjoy my friends for a year. I was then shipped to Puerto Rico because I needed a company clerk in Puerto Rico, where I spent the remainder of my Army. And then I got out, and I thought, well, I have a lot of time. It was a beautiful place to be stationed. You know, I didn't have any. I had some battle scars, but there was teeth marks on my left shoulder. But I never I fought in the Army. When you were on the beach in the Army, it was the Mediterranean, so the currents were about 7 degrees cooler, and there was palm trees there on the beach, and you really couldn't go under one of them because a coconut might hit you in the head. So it was highly dangerous. So I had a lot of time. My father and uncle were in the real estate business, so I thought, well, I don't want to go back to Kaiser Steel and work. So I got a hold of a real estate book, and I memorized it. When I got out, I took the real estate exam, and I was been in real estate the whole time. Now, I had my own office at 29 years old in Upland, California. I also ran leads, you know, when you go out to the houses at night, show films, bring people down to the desert, sell them property. And then I was an appraiser. I've let all those designations go at this point because I'm tired, retired, and retarded. So basically, I put together my own corporation with the help of another man, and it was called Alta Realtors Incorporated. And he wanted to be president, and I wanted to be president. So I said, let's flip a coin. So I did, and I became president of Alta Realtors Incorporated. And we had 3 Century 21 offices. And I had Ronald Porter Realty for 10 years in Upland before that time. My parents were good parents. They raised us, and we had a lot of fun in the family. My dad had 14 brothers and sisters total. And we always had a good time, you know, whenever they get together. We played cards together and sang French songs because my grandparents were from Quebec. And so I had a very good upbringing, went through Catholic schools, and had a good education. I left there at a very young age, maybe 5, 6, 7 years old. We moved to Seattle, Washington. I basically have only faint memories of Grand Forks, North Dakota. I remember I had a little snowsuit on, and I fell way down inside a snowdrift, and my parents were looking down there and trying to get me out. That was one of my memories. I actually have memories going even further back than that. It's hard to believe, but I remember my first steps. My father was holding his hands out to me, and I walked over to him. And then I thought, well, that was pretty good, so I walked to a couch. Now, my father had no memories of this, but I have the memories. So I don't know. I think we all have memories that go back a long ways, you know, if you start thinking. He was very dominant, a very hard worker. He worked in real estate all his life. He had restaurant businesses in Bakersfield, and he worked in Rose Department Store in Seattle, Washington. And he even had his own gas station with my uncle at the time. He and my uncle were very close. That was my dad's younger brother, because he had told his mother that he would try to take care of Pat, and so that they were always together in businesses. And they did very, very well in real estate because they had overrides, became managers. And like my father was asked that Pat would be also a manager and of course when they had the override going, that was a desert hospital. They had a big rush towards the desert at that time, so they made a lot of money. And I remember my mother was more low-key, but she was very clean, took care of the house good and all that. She never drove. My father did all the driving, made the decisions, but they lived a comfortable life. And they lived in different areas like Desert Hot Springs. They lived in a mobile park, Alta Laguna, Space 100 in Alta Loma, and they had a place in Seal Beach, which Barbara and I now own, but we have it up for sale.
Upland, too.
In an Upland, yeah. They lived at 256 Orchard Lane in Upland, and that's where I went through Chaffey College and Claremont Men's College. So my father was very, very strict. My mother was more easygoing, but a hard worker. When I was growing up, when I was real young, I didn't have any goals. It was kind of survival because I had my asthma was so bad, it was life-threatening. But a lot of times I went through Catholic schools and that when I was young. I lived in Seattle, Washington. But I can remember gasping for breath and all that and turning blue, and they rushed me to the hospital and different things. I basically, even when I went through high school, I majored in salesmanship. That was my major in high school. And I really didn't have any particular goals then. But when I got to my last year of high school, I decided I wanted to go to college. So started in college. I was only going to go 2 years, and then I decided that I wanted to go 4 years. So consequently, I had to go ahead and had an extra year of work in order to have the proper subjects in order to graduate. But I have a 4-year degree in business administration. And then I still didn't really know what I wanted to do. I had been interviewed by different corporations, like Sears and different things, because I was a graduate of Claremont Men's College. And I didn't really want to be transferred to wherever they wanted me to because of my health. If you're an asthmatic, you can only live in certain climates. So I decided at that point that I would probably do something else. And that's when I was in the Army is when I decided I wanted to go into real estate. Because nobody's going to tell you where to transfer because your ability is your own. You can go wherever you want if you can sell. When I was in the service, I had asthma so bad I was hospitalized for 2 weeks over there. And I couldn't breathe, and so they gave me a lot of treatments, and I spit up all types of junk. And I was going to get a medical discharge, but the first sergeant, he didn't like that idea, and I finally decided against it. So it did cause a problem. I probably could have gotten out of the Army on that basis, but didn't. I felt that everybody should serve their country. Well, I love you, and I told you that when we were married, and I'll tell you again.
You didn't take it back?
No, I never took it back.
I love you, and if you pass away before me, I'll really miss you. You're a stabilizing force in my life. I look up to you as a good man, and you've always tried to support the family. You've always been a hard worker, and I love you.
Thank you. I think our being able to practice a religion together and pray together, we said a rosary on the way down here today. So,
That's all.
well, because she's a nurse,
I
And
have
I-
another nurse picked
and I-
out if I go first.
and I need a nurse.
For him to marry.
I have so much wrong with me. Well, I always accepted that I was going to die. I felt that I wanted to be with God, but like I say, not immediately.
Tell him about that
What?
death experience you had.
Well, I had a out-of-body experience, which I probably wouldn't have brought up if she wouldn't have
Oh, there's nothing wrong. You don't have
mentioned
to
it.
go into
That
all
when,
that.
in my heavy drinking days, I collapsed out in Palm Springs. They had to rush me by ambulance to Beaumont, and where they were trying to save my life. And they was on the operating table. There was several nurses and a doctor there trying to save my life. And in a way, I felt myself.
You saw them put the needle in
Well,
your heart.
you're interrupting my
Sorry.
monologue. And in a way, I felt myself pushing out of my body, lifting up to the ceiling, turning around up at the ceiling, watching myself below, and that's when I saw them turning me over and putting a needle into my spine to save my life. And I said up there, it's just like we're talking now. We have an intellect. We're thinking. It's like my body wasn't there, but it's like I had my body there. And I thought to myself, dear God, give me another chance. At that point, I felt myself coming back, down, forward, face forward, turning over, coming into my body again, and it was all over. And I felt an incredible sense of peacefulness when I was up above. I didn't see anything. I heard a kind of a music, but I didn't see God or anything. That was my out-of-body experience. Well, just that I love my family. I'm not very expressive on expressing love, but I love the family. This is for posterity. I love all my grandchildren, my children, my wife, and everybody. So that's probably what life is all about. Try to stay with your family and be part of a family, because there's not too much to life. We all pass away sooner or later, and we know that there's a heaven, but we don't want to die to get there. So I think that the philosophy would be to try to treat everybody right and correctly. It's the golden rule, and a lot of people don't follow that nowadays. They're very devious, and they may be talking a good way, but they're not acting a good way. And I think that we have to try to treat people in life good and step out to help people. I mean, like, I've tried to help people in my life, and I know that Marie has helped the Indian missions and different things like that. Black Church, wasn't it? And I think that you have to do these things, that you have to, because when Christ was on earth, he showed love, and he showed love to everybody. And I don't think we show enough love nowadays. I think that personally, I just have a caring about religion, a caring about God. I have an innate love of God. Even when I was in the 8th grade, instead of playing, like a lot of times, basketball or that, I would go into church and pray. So I have kind of a spirituality that I feel inside. That's why it's an important thing. It isn't because other people do it or anything, because I feel drawn towards Christ. Up at the top, it'll say, the outline of the course is here. This is 119 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the strength of a person, what club you use.
Right.
As a senior, I can't hit as far as I used to. I would probably use, for myself, maybe a 4-iron
Okay.
on this. As you go down on irons, like a 9 would be hit the least.
Right.
Then an 8, then a 7, 6, 5, 4, see?
Okay.
3.
I just bought a Sasquatch.
Oh my God.
It takes place at the John Daly.
That's amazing.
Has a Bigfoot head.
Well, if you can't hit the ball, it means you're probably not very good at all. Really bad golfer if you can't hit it with that club.
Just remind me to pick up.
Hey.
That's better.
That's good.
Nice shot.
Excellent.
That was still not down there. You got to land on the green. Now, the rules are that you can't hit further than you do. You have to go back low.
That's my ball, Dad.
No, look. This is the one I shot.
Oh, is it?
You win a yellow one right there.
Oh, on the yellow one? Oh.
Yeah.
So lovable.
So I hit the ground first. You don't want to do that.
He said he's gonna make some footage of Tiger Woods and put it into the.
What?
He's gonna edit some of Tiger Woods footage into the movie.
Yeah, you better do something. Okay, now we could say that's a gimme within about, that's what we do when we play. This far away is a gimme.
Okay.
So you got a 5.
No, I like to go with him.
All right.
Oh. Who's next? Ed? All right, good.
You gotta wait till they get in because you never know where the ball's gonna go.
Oh, come on, hold on.
Yeah, like kind of bend them.
Right
Yeah.
down. Keep looking at the ball. Don't lift your head up.
Yay!
Oh, I hit it because I was looking at the ball.
That's right, you did it perfect.
Well, you get 2 points because you hit the
Everybody else
ashtray.
got 2.
Hey,
Yeah!
hey,
Oh
hey,
my
Rob.
God!
Oscar, are you filming?
Oh!
Oh, I'm so glad we got that on camera.
pretty good,
Too bad it
I
didn't go in.
missed.
Oh, but so glad
Did
we
you
got
plan
that.
that shot?
Of course he did.
Yes. Yeah, he played that. That's what I was wanting to do.
Oh.
I had no chance. Here we go. I had to shoot it up here for